Hi everyone, welcome to New York Zone 6B here in mid-August. I can't believe we're here already. It's frankly starting to feel like an early fall. Let's hope it's a long fall because we've still got a lot of plants going on. So let's get started on this tour. Actually going to start us off here in the chicken coop area, mainly because I've been trying to establish some plants for the chickens so that they can have something to munch on while there might not be much greenery going on. So I have started putting in these stinging nettles, and while it's not their favorite, they will munch on it if they're desperate enough. There's also volunteer tomatoes. They don't seem to be bothered by that too much. Like, it looks like they are nibbling on the stems, but nobody seems to be ill affected. I've also dotted in more recently, this is lemon balm here too. These have really exploded in growth. Another plant I planted quite a few seeds of, but only this one took, is the Malabar spinach. I don't care for the mucilaginous texture of this plant, so the seeds I have extra of, I'm making sure the chickens can take advantage. And they do, not as much as I thought. So we have a really nice plant going on there. Over on this side, I plugged in a few more mints mainly. This is another lemon balm. I believe this is oregano. This is a spearmint and another oregano. These were just put in recently, so they'll take a while to get into. And another lemon balm, and there's another mint over there. So when those get bigger, I'll train them to go into the fence, and the chickens can enjoy those at their leisure. Still having disappointing time with the tomatoes. These two, Dr. White Cheese and I believe a striped German, still just fruiting, just starting to fruit. But it really shouldn't be this far. Now, the Cherokee Purple, my first to fruit, I tried to protect it because the first one got taken, and if you can see, there's a big hole there, so that one's done. Ah, I see a caterpillar. That's a different kind of caterpillar I've never seen before. But maybe this one is safe. Looks like this one escaped any bug damage. So our first slicer, the Cherokee Purple. Very exciting. Unfortunately, we've lost that one. This one I'm going to give another day. I don't think it's going to get bothered because they do have that one to munch on. So we'll leave that. The other tomatoes also just coming on. I believe this one is, what's this one? The beefsteak. I have a basil in here, a marigold. This is an Aunt Ruby's German green. It's not ready yet. A volunteer appears to be alpaca. The black crim, sadly, has nothing, maybe one little fruit. So this was not a good specimen. The brandywine is coming in, so we should at least get that. But this is very, very disappointing in general for the tomatoes. Got the nice marigold. The beans. The beans are another one that I'm very surprised at how they're producing. Very slow, very small. This should be the Paul Robeson, but again, slow. I've lost a lot more tomatoes than I care. The sauce tomatoes, San Marzano, alpaca, are starting to come in. Those need to be harvested. Behind me, we have attempts of fall gardening. This is Brussels sprouts. I need to thin this and move some of these seedlings around. I had some in there, but it looks like I've lost them. And then these not that one. Well, it looks like that one. Although that looks like a mustard. Oh, it looks like I lost that broccoli. This is a healthy broccoli here, and a couple of small ones here. But it looks like this is supposed to be a broccoli, but it's got a very mustardy looking leaf there. On the other side are Swiss chard, also very full. May need to be thinned, but they're here. And also our collard greens are looking very good. This is a volunteer. This ground cherry is a volunteer. And then this is a ground cover of buckwheat. I also threw in some alfalfa seeds, but I'm not sure if they're going to come up since the buckwheat has already pretty much shaded this ground. Next, we have the okra. The okra pods are starting to come in. The ants have also moved in. I'm hoping, I don't see any aphids right now, so I'm hoping they're helping more than hurting the production. And further in, we have nice finger eggplants. The corn is not too shabby. I see some very promising, and it feels like full pollination on some. Like this, I'd say is the biggest ear. And this one looks like a good one too. But it's gonna give them a couple more days. Does feel dry, but it's still wet closer to the end here. So I'd say it's ready, but I'm just still gonna give it another day or so. Hopefully that doesn't mean I lose it out on it completely. Here's another one that feels ready. It was not the stellar corn that I was hoping for, but oh, actually, there's also been these rogues seeds. I did not plant purple stemmed that I know of corn, but they must have gotten mixed in. But they're just starting to come up, and I don't see any ears yet. So we shall see what those become. This bed is largely housing these best. It's on par with the sun gold. This is a volunteer, so I have no idea what it is, but it has been really delicious. I have put off harvesting my peppers, so they're still here. This is the shishitos. And I did harvest my one giant bell pepper, so I'm hoping more flowers will come and be encouraged to grow. The plan here is to rough up the soil and I was hoping that the spinach that was here would just drop in and seed themselves, but I'm not sure that that's happening or what. So I will rough up the soil and seed real spinach seeds and get this to be a spinach bed, hopefully. Now the cabbage moth butterfly seems to have finished its nonsense, so I took off a lot of the leaves that were compromised, and it's looking like we have nice new growth, less holes, and we might actually get a harvest of a few more kohlrabi and maybe some rutabaga also. And this parsley is doing really well in here. Over here is a dream of some cantaloupe and watermelon. September is an iffy month. It could be surprising. A lot of plants like really push through in September. So there's a possibility. There's lots of flowers, but I have yet to see any actual fruiting. So we'll see about that. And this bed has the beans, and there has been some damage from some of the beetles sucking on these plants. But I believe this is the navy, which will be drying or harvesting when it's dry. Down here, I believe this is the lima bean, and I have not seen still any lima beans. This Maxibel haricot, I picked a couple, and then now I'm seeing that they're growing very poorly. It looks like they're withering, drying up, and we've had decent amount of rains, so I don't see why that would be the issue of them being too dry. Over on this side, we have some very nicely developing mung bean pods. These are definitely beautiful. The soybean or edamame are still pretty puny. I'm guessing maybe a different variety would be better for us in the following years. These are not filling up too much. Oh, I also threw in a cabbage, some cabbage seeds, so we may or may not see those come too. And what else? The red kidney bean is in here. Also something that we'll wait till it's dried up before we harvest. The jalapeno continues to come along, still not giving me the red color I really want to have before I harvest, but they are starting to get this crackling texture, so I think I will be harvesting some of these in the coming days, along with the sweet bananas. They're getting that texture on their skin, and the ancho poblano looking beautiful. The rhubarb is looking pretty good. It was a lot more worse for wear last year at this time, but I guess, like I said, we've had sufficient rain, so they're looking nice. Plus, we've had cooler nights too. The celosia is coming in beautifully, a little stunted, but I'll take it. This bed has not been weeded, does not get the attention of the other beds. Amaranths coming in. These are all really stunted. They should not be flowering yet. This is a rutabaga. Got some damage, but there's plenty of green there. And one of these is a Brussels sprouts, or two of these should be Brussels sprouts. Maybe these and this. The ashwagandha, I'm not sure how that will winter. I don't think that will overwinter. We'll see about that. We'll plant more plants next year if it doesn't. And then I threw in, yep, I see them. I'm too far away. But this is fennel. I might have done this too late. This spriggy stuff. They look like carrot leaves. Those are fennel. So I hope those come through. And some of the asparagus seeds looking beautiful, almost winter-like. Not much new to report here. The potatoes that I threw in from the cupboard that got sprouting, that chitted, are growing on. I need to top off the soil to get more coverage on the tubers. This collard that's covering up this grape, they're coexisting well. I want to clean up some of those leaves that are all eaten up so that the new leaves will be beautiful. And then the blueberries are bushing out. They have grown nicely this season, as the ones in the bags, as opposed to the ones in the ground, which continue to be this stunted, smaller appearance. So I do feel that the grow bags might be my course of action, at least for now, for these blueberries, because the soil here is too compacted for them to be growing much on their own. But the ones in the grow bags, like even this one, which is my most stunted and smallest, has definitely put on some growth. So those are new acquisitions. So different varieties. I'm hoping that they do well. I had left some leeks in here. I have not been watering that much. We've got some buckwheat replanted over here by the chipmunks or squirrels. And anyway, the leeks are just getting by in here because they haven't been getting much treatment. The hydrangeas are in, they're coming in and out. Not much to report there. The limelight finally showed up. Not as glorious as last year, but I'll take what I can get. Still beautiful. It's a nice bit of color in this little corner. The daisy's on its way out. The zinnias need trimming. There's still some color, but we've got a lot of downy or mildew. Powdery mildew is terrible right now. It's cooling down. It's moist. They don't like that. The lantana looks like it needs water. The artichoke, definitely not giving me any fruit this year either. I think I've come to the conclusion that it's not a good place for it. I think the tree here, whatever maple this is taking up a lot of the nutrients that would otherwise be used by the artichoke. So we need to find another place to plant if we want success. The asparagus here I had weeded so you can actually see them. And you can see that we have new growth. I did harvest a few that were of good size, so we ate those recently last week. So these tinier ones will continue to grow on for the fall and become ferns and be great for next season. I have a lot of solidago or goldenrod. I do want to thin it out because it is prolific at spreading itself, and I don't need any more. They are all over the property. So the blue Hubbard over here is done. It's been done for quite a while, but I left the fruit there. I don't know, something will take that up. I've also really given up on the melons. They were plants, but the ends kept getting eaten. So they were, even if they have flowers, they are not at this point going to amount to much of anything. So I've left them to their own devices to grow on as they see fit. There's another volunteer. Oh, look at me. I'm a big fat liar again. What the heck? There was a melon there. A melon I had completely not seen. And of course it was eaten already. Oh, look at that. What plant is this? I think this is a black diamond. No, it is. It's next door neighbor. The crimson sweet. We had a crimson sweet at some point, and then we didn't. Well, there you go. It is possible to grow melons here. You just have to be really good at protecting them. The echinacea is on its way out. Plenty of sage in there. Plenty of wild raspberries. That's already done. My little flower patch here. The snapdragons. A few snapdragons hanging about, but nothing newsworthy. The foxglove gave me a second flush, but that's already also done. I had thrown a lot of seeds of foxglove right there, so hopefully those will be the future. And there's some other random things in here. I can't remember what. But what we're trying to get going to get through is the ginger. Now this one, we have been in here since April. Yeah, and then it came out in the summer and it's doing well. This one just went in much more recently, so it's gonna be interesting bringing these inside because I'm sure there's plenty of bugs in there, and I don't really know where I'm gonna put them, where the bugs won't become a problem in the house. Back here, we still only have the one loofah, which is very, very odd. But that has been the trend with my squashes this year. That'll be one loofah. I did do some weeding. I cleaned up this sad little carrot patch. I was left with maybe 6 or 7 carrots. The rest were stolen or eaten down. So I did seed more carrot seeds, so maybe we'll get some more before the season ends, or they'll overwinter. And in here, I cleaned this up and I put more peas in. So that was only a couple of days ago, so nothing's coming up yet. As you can see, the cucumbers mainly are in an in and out phase. Some are done and some are still producing. The vine going up that way is still producing. We still have plenty of fruit coming in, but we do have quite a bit on its way out because I had left some fruits I had not seen that were close to the ground. They turned yellow, which means their seeds were beginning to ripen. This should be a Moroccan squash. It will not be as big as its predecessors, but it's better than nothing. That will be a winter squash for us. Although I think I could harvest it now and it would be a summer squash. I believe this is part of the Moroccan squash vines. The kales and collards in here have not gotten much care, so they're still getting eaten up, but they are starting to look better. So we might get some nice fall leaves out of them. Yeah, the winter squash is in here. Again, just the one acorn squash, which is really sad. Our one honey nut, tiny little thing. Although we might, like I said, in September, things like to creep in. So we do still have activity on the honey nut. So that might come to something. But the Hubbard, I mean, I don't mind if this is the only fruit because it's gigantic. I'm going to weigh this at the end of the season and let you know how much it weighs. So stay tuned for that. But this vine is way up in the trees now. So even if there was another squash up there, which I think there is, yeah, that'll be interesting if I can even get to that plant when I clean this up. Over here, it's a good thing I have this mesh here supporting the ridiculously tall Sunchokes, Jerusalem artichokes, because we've had some storms that have blown this down, but luckily it wasn't too far bad and it didn't destroy anything, but it has been necessary to keep these guys up. And this grape is doing well. I didn't realize you shouldn't water these too much, so I might have been overwatering a bit. Also neglecting, August is really a lot of neglect for the ones that are established because you're trying to get new things going. So I've neglected the leeks in here. I think they'll be fine. The parsley, I mean not parsley, this is celery. Celery in here is gigantic. Really good stock stuff, but that can wait. Nothing's going to happen to that, even if it's all overgrown. Over there, I just got some grass clippings that I'm drying up before I put them into the beds as mulch. This old potato bed I reworked, so now it's holding some greens. I see some greens have been lost, so let's see, those are kales and collards. And this is cabbage, supposedly. I threw in turnips and radishes, but I'm seeing that I'm missing a whole bunch. So something is still getting in here and taking those out, which is really sad. So we'll keep going on. I'm going to keep throwing in radish and turnips because those turn around pretty quickly and maybe get a harvest in the fall. Here we have the fig doing well, but no fruits this year. I really have to figure out how to protect this over fall and winter if we're going to get any fruit from these figs ever. Here's a sunchoke that I had missed. It's being supported there because it is very top heavy and will fall down. Here is one that did not fare as well. I tried tying it up, but it just bent the other way, but it's still alive. So that one The tubers should still be fine since the leaves are good. There's the other fig, which came up eventually. It's nice and stout, but that's another one we'll have to wait and see if we can salvage for the winter. In here is a mishmash. There's more asparagus in there, ferns, but it's all covered up with jewelweed and whatever other weed is around, so we can't see them. But they're there. The Salvia, the fire, St. John's fire, I think, looking beautiful. It's already on its way out, but it's really nice. It did what it was supposed to. And the zinnia is still pumping out. I didn't realize how small the salvias were going to be, so this wasn't exactly the best pairing because they're getting all shaded out down there. It was not a good year for the cosmos. Last year was much, much better. This year, they did not get past 2 feet tall, whereas in prior years, they've been 5 feet tall at least. This one I planted later, these two. So we still have some blooms coming out. Oh no, this one and this one. So we might still get some blooms out of this, even though it looks like aphids are moving in. This has really become an overgrown mess. Our weed whacker is out of commission, so it's really, I haven't been motivated to do anything. Looks like a volunteer marigold in here. Oh, look at that. We have some beans. I did plant beans in here. See, this is what these beans are supposed to look like. They did not look like this in the back. But this quite stunted specimen is producing some nice beans. So that is so bizarre. I haven't been here like to water or anything in a while. And these plants are like barely 6 inches off the ground and producing some really nice beans. But it's very weedy. I did weed not that long ago, like I guess a month ago by now, but you could still see where the strawberries used to be. But now they're getting overtaken again. My pumpkins are also done. They got taken by a vine borer, and that was that. Here we have the basil. I've had a few nice harvests of basil. Here's a new plant that I put in recently. They do have this browning in the leaves. This does not look like a basil. I planted this, I thought, but that does not look like a basil. It's still a good harvest to go. I really like these smaller, it's not that small, but it's very bushy marigold. I did clean up quite a bit of the other collards, but I did not do these two. So these two are due. I take these and give those to the chickens. The feverfew is on its way out, but I'm hoping, well, I think it reseeds quite well, so we should have that again for next year. Now, I don't know what Chia does. I thought it'd be flowering by now. I'll have to look closer. Maybe it has. And we've got plenty of volunteer tomatoes, some volunteer to be eaten by the critters. I don't know what happened to this bed. It was such a mess before, but I weeded, and I think that's what it needed, because look at the size of this nasturtium and the flowers. This is the best specimen of this plant I have ever grown. And the Celosia is not too shabby either. That's just starting. I think this is the cock's comb that I was hoping to get. So I'm very excited that that's coming up. There was one specimen of Swiss chard that survived my initial seeding into the cell trays. And so I transplanted that now. I'm hoping this netting is going to keep it from getting eaten, but this thing keeps getting blown out, so that might not be possible. This one rutabaga I've got high anticipation for. And then over here, oh my goodness, oh no. All right, this is an amaranth. It's got the height that it's supposed to, and it's starting to flower, so that is good. The leaves I hear are good spinach substitute. That's great. Now in my weeding, I had more amaranth in this bed, but in my weeding, I believe I tore them out because they were not looking very much different from the weeds. So I lost a bunch of amaranth that I had planted there. I have topped the yarrow. I was hoping the cilantro would have self-seeded, but I'm not sure. Like, maybe that's something, but I'm not seeing very much of that going on. So I don't think, if it did self-seed, it might take another season till next spring before we see it, which is okay. So like I said, I'm looking at this Chia, which is way up there at 7 feet, and I'm not seeing any signs of flowering. So I'll have to see at the seed packet, tell me how long it takes to mature. But it's the Chia seeds I want, and for there to be seeds, there have to be flowers. So I wonder how long that takes. Yeah. Some really nice American spinach, I think. Very, very nice feeling, very soft, almost like lamb's ear or that toilet paper plant. So I'm just waiting to see what that becomes in the fall. This oregano I've harvested from, looks like is this from the flower, or is this, yes, oregano flowers. And there's keep forgetting to clean this up, the thyme in here, and it's being swallowed up by this dock. And there's a thyme plant. That's doing okay. See, here's one collard that I cleaned up, and these leaves are looking a little bit better. This one, not so much. I need to maybe just take that plant out. There's still some pest pressure. That hasn't ended yet. The rice, the Dvorskin rice, is coming along really nicely. Very happy with this so far. This is only the second time I've attempted rice, so whatever. There's a bug. I was going to say whatever bugs attack this might not have found it yet, but maybe that was one of them. Now the long grain rice, I did see evidence that it was also coming in. Let's see if I can find it again. But I'm very, very upset that it's taking so long. Okay, that bucket I was going at was planted later. So this one was the original long grain rice. So this is coming in as well. So hopefully there'll be enough of a season for that to come through. We have several of that coming in. There's been plenty of rain, enough that the container continues to have water in it, but it's not a swimming pool by any means. So there's some more kernels there. And let's not forget the sweet potatoes. The sweet potatoes looking very healthy. I have not touched this because I feel like any movement is just going to break limbs, and that is not my intention. I'm just going to let this collect as much sun as it can. Hopefully we have nice big tubers down there. This little area that also has some haphazardly thrown in sweet potatoes have not been bothered recently by the rabbits, so they're growing on. I'm very interested to see if this eggplant comes through. It's staying stunted because this is mostly clay, so we'll see if anything comes of that. I've been trying to clean up the strawberry patches here and there from the runners. Now this is the main bed that I've thrown in fall sowings of stuff. I also did another seed or two of squash, since the first one went on its way pretty early on and didn't give that much fruit. So we'll see if this has enough of a season to go. The carrots I sowed earlier in the month are up, and it didn't take all that long. I did cover it with cardboard for a couple of days, and then this cloth, this netting, to be like a shade cloth. I did throw new seeds in the spaces that did not germinate, so we'll see if those come through. I believe this is cilantro seeds I threw in again, and I've been throwing in dill seeds, but I've gotten nothing. So I recently threw in more dill seeds, so hopefully those come up. This is one of the cabbages, the red acre maybe, and these two might be the Nozaki cabbage. And I also have dotted some golden beets. I had more, but it looks like the edges here are prime place for rodents, and they keep getting taken out. So I do have a couple of golden beets, but not as many as I had seeded. These are onions from the store that had gone to seed. So I planted them, so I'm hoping to collect seeds. Maybe I can stop buying seeds for those. And some volunteer cherry tomatoes. And coming to the end here, we have the rosemary that I gave a haircut to. I'm currently making rosemary oil and rosemary vinegar as a hair rinse or a cleanser. The Tiny Tim, I finally tasted one that wasn't bug damaged. It's definitely a salad cherry tomato. It's very tart, sour. So it's not exactly, the best thing that I would want to be growing. But I do have a few more plants that may give me better fruit than this first one. I recently, so the greenery from some of the established Swiss chard from, early on in the spring, they're finally being left alone by the pests, so they're coming back better. This celery, I keep calling it parsley. The celeries in here are looking nice. Definitely a lot smaller because their space is very small. But I did also throw in my Asian greens. Some seeds of those are coming up. The pak choi, bok choy, and tatsoi are in. And also I lined the bottom with more beets, but those aren't up yet. And I've just been cleaning up where I could. Now the strawberries, they're coming in little by little, but not the harvest I'm used to seeing in prior years in any of the plants. So these are the alpine ones. So these aren't going to be very big, but they're still delicious. And lastly, I just want to point out the 2 strawberry plants there and the 2 ground cherries. They're giving me fruit, but not as prolifically as last year. Maybe they need more fertility. Probably they need more fertility. Well, that concludes the mid-August garden tour. I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to go harvest these tomatoes now. So I'll harvest more. Bye.